Hi, everyone. My name is Emmy Amarati, and I am Assistant Director of our ACU Online Writing Center. And I'm here today with my wonderful colleague, our tutor, Dr. Tanya Hart. Say hi, Tanya.
Hi, Emmy. Hi, everybody.
Hi. So during this webinar, we're going to be discussing discussion board replies, finding common ground. This is the fourth in our discussion board replies webinar series from the term. And don't worry, I'll link you to all of them later in this webinar if you want to get a really good perspective on what to do and not do when writing discussion board replies. So we're going to send out the links to this recording and the slide deck, and the links will be active. And of course, based on the description, as promised, we have put some cute baby dinosaur pictures into this webinar. All right. Along with the baby dinosaur picture tour, we will be exploring three learning objectives. First, review the purpose and audience of online discussion boards. Two, apply common ground as a rhetorical strategy. And three, workshop BITO 342's Week 5 discussion question 1, were there baby dinosaurs on the ark? So there is a logical link for the baby dinosaurs in this. I didn't just throw them in for fun. I'm going to hand it off to Tanya to do our first learning objective. I will point out that I did generate these pictures using Microsoft Copilot. The prompts, or at least partial prompts, are included on the slides. So we have baby dinosaurs engaging in an online discussion board. Take it away, Tanya.
Emmy, this visual is brilliant, girl. I love me some baby dinos.
One of them has a caffeine addiction, as you can see by his cup of coffee.
Oh, well, I wish he'd share it. Okay, let's review the purpose and the audience of discussion boards. See where we go with this. What are online discussion boards? What's the purpose? Why are they important? Online boards are online academic spaces where participants, students, embodying different and diverse perspectives, learn how to cultivate all important soft skills of communication, critical thinking, writing while using the internet. So discussion simulate classroom dialogue in an asynchronous. We're talking about total internet immersion here. We're about real-time communications. So asynchronous means a regular classroom where you get up and you get dressed and you walk in, you sit down, communicating live through speaking in a group setting. You're doing the same thing, it's writing online. So while you may be doing this at your leisure, even if it's a digital world, that's how we communicate nowadays. You're also learning the of how to incorporate class timelines and schedules and individual perspectives into your own living and working lives. Together just amps up the importance of what you say and how you come across board responses. Second, discussion boards encourage reflection and collaboration within a learning community. Discussion classroom spaces where people from different backgrounds and perspectives come together on interact and communicate verbally and visually, hence, going back to the baby. So learning how to think critically or think outside the also humbly reading and reflecting and collaborating through diverse is key. Third, discussion boards provide to explore diverse perspectives thoughtfully. Asynchronous move in-person speech and collaborating spaces out physical classrooms. And while we may not be physically looking at, smelling, even touching each other, we're still diverse backgrounds and perspectives. seeing written words that aren't being breathing, living human being shouldn't remove our need for compassionate responses. We need to explore our diversity in written speech compassionately as we do with spoken words. Participants should aim to operate within a do unto others as you unto you perspective. Let's keep in mind the most important thing about discussion boards in building online. These are spaces where communication, critical thinking come together collaboratively in a healthy setting that embraces in thought to create collaboration. So let's not think of it as a space to show everybody just how masterful we are. Any little rhetorical kings and queens, y'all need to leave your crowns and your scepters at home. They aren't doing mic drops up in discussion boards. Instead, a porch as spaces for communal critical thinking. These spaces for ideas, conversations, collaborations, and learning. So, are the audiences for discussion board posts? Well, yourself and not yourself. First, the speaking on, reading, and thinking about discussion are an academic audience of your peers. They've already done the reading. They're thinking deeply about the content. In essence, they are you. While discussion boards are spaces of student collaboration, not, hey, I'm the master, I'm going to step in here and teach everybody. They're not spaces to come to unprepared. Now, okay, in here. I'm a retired history professor. I used to teach online courses with discussion. And from talking to my students and my own perspectives, one of the things that me and students who came prepped for discussion board were getting comments from students who hadn't done the readings and hadn't thought deeply board content, but thought, okay, I'm just going to check off a box. I'm going to post something to say that had nothing to do with the reading or the current discussions. Be that person, okay? Don't be the king and queen of rhetoric, but don't be the emperor. Make sure that you've done the reading, you thought about the reading that deserves to be read. Second, since equal your co-authors within the discussion board, practice passion. They're just in the class, they're just trying to learn, they're just trying critical thinking and writing scores like you are. So please try to be kind to people. Discussion boards. They're yourself and they're not yourself. So let's continue walking through what an audience means. It's an ongoing audience of students like yourself who are about and discussing each other's comments. Think about conversations in the flesh. Think about the conversations that you have with people. For people, okay? You're speaking, you're listening, and then you're responding. You're not just speaking while everyone else and you do a mic drop and walk away. Instead, you're talking in conversation, or at least you should be. You're listening and as well as speaking. So, this important mindset into your discussion board responses. Conversations where you must read and you must the comments of others, not just blah, blah, blah as you're writing, speak and take up your crown, your scepter, and you walk away in triumph. That's not what it's for. It's awareness. How should we approach each other in discussion? First, assume your readers know the basic concepts on meaning and analysis, then on summary. Remember, you're all responding to a reading that everyone should have read. Aside from my earlier warning not to make a comment, read and thought about the reading to be addressed in the discussion board, let's hope everyone else has done this. They've done the reading and they've thought about it. Okay. With that to the point, go to what you see is important, me post those types of comments. Second, each other's points thoughtfully. Reference or quote your course readings to build connections. Remember, these are ongoing asynchronous conversational spaces created with critical thinking, learning, collaboration at their core. So bring out information from the readings, cite your sources. A second critical aspect is remember to use the names of other responders. A comment on in terms of what they've said, because this builds connection. It encourages and it's invigorating when if like and I see that and I'm like, ooh, Emmy, I really appreciate what you go on and discuss what Emmy said. That's
Yay.
going to be encouraging and invigorating to her and others. Okay, third, write clearly, but write academically. Your tone should always be respectful and purposeful. This is online, but it ain't Facebook, and this isn't social media space. It's a classroom, it's a class discussion, university setting. Do unto others as you would you. While we can't control people's responses to what we say, yeah, we can control our own individual tone. The example, be respectful, reflective, and purposeful in what you say, you respond. And finally, please, 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 I just think, or in my opinion, speak from informed analysis and not reaction. Many times of going to law school and getting my, law degree because I love argumentation in writing. It's something I love helping students build. But listen, I'm not talking about arguments in terms of vitriol, emotional attacks. I'm talking about structured analysis. Discussion boards are for individual and collective informed analysis. From reading through something, developing an understanding. But then they also are reading the comments of others and dealing with valid counter arguments, crafting writing that will stand. So this isn't about the big A social media. This is about emotion. It's not about emotion. It's not about think or I, in my opinion. It's about building and marshaling skills into your writing and at the same time dealing with diverse perspectives within an online discussion board. And we're here to help you develop these skills. Yeah, my babies. So now let's just objective 2, how to apply common ground as a rhetorical strategy.
They're finding common ground. They're also sitting on common ground. See the circle in the middle? It's common ground.
I want I want one. If it's,
They're so
well, if
cute.
it won't eat me or burn down the house, I want one.
Yeah, these are nice guys.
Hmm, let's see. Okay, so what does it mean for common ground? What is common ground? We live in a world of boundaries where people will sometimes hurt you if you even look. So, what in the world does common ground mean, especially about academia? Well, Merriam-Webster dictionary defines, quote, a basis of mutual interest or agreement, end quote. Mutuality is key. We live in a world and boundaries, but we don't like it when people define spaces and boundaries. Bottom line, we live in a world. We. So humans have to find ways to get along, to coexist. Otherwise, ain't going to be too much we for much longer. So means that we have to essentially challenge and tear apart of boundaries and dividing lines for the sake of mutuality. Because, like the little baby dinosaurs, we all want to exist, period. Second, in rhetoric, common ground is a shared belief, an assumption that helps build connection between a writer, speaker, and the audience. Let's go back to the traditional classroom, that discussion board online to emulate. Even though you're not coming together in real time for discussion and your words are going to be written, spoken, you're basing what you say on collective, shared, you, other students, the readings that you've done, and share them. So even though you're online, you are connections and community via conversations with each other. You become a writer speaker within a larger audience and speakers for that class. So, to your reading for this week and discussion posts, let's see how common ground little dinosaurs, okay? They're sweet, uh, but in reality, they disagreed. Heads, like the little green guy on the right, I think dinosaurs should eat plants. Want to eat veg heads on the is the veg heads, and on the right is the I think dinos should eat other dinos here. What united veg heads, as a veg heads, was the common ground of necessity, hunger. The dinos like to eat, both live in the same area, but they got to achieve common ground by not violating each other's common need for food, starving to death, and the other is like, lunch. So, yeah, to build bridges for common ground. This works the boards. Don't let veg head superiority or veg head superiority go to your head. Don't make a master comment way triumphantly, king or queen of the rhetorical jungle, with your crown. Don't try to eat your fellow students alive, making unintended comments or leaving attacks. So, okay, baby, okay, and their need to find common ground in their eating and annihilation. Why is it important in 2022 as students and for humans in general to find common ground? First, finding common ground helps your audience feel respected and I think by this time, do unto others as you would have them do unto you in your brains. Hopefully, I've said it enough. As you want other people and what you think and say and write, first and always give that respect to let them know that they matter to you. Second, see builds trust to emphasize the sense of community. As with geographic boundaries, we have to learn how to compromise and find common ground for the common earth and the common need to exist. That means community. You all are now enrolled in a university where discussion boards are set up to offer spaces to find common ground, communication, critical thinking, and writing. So use the boards. They're created to teach you how to live and how to function and write in community. Third, finding common ground softens disagreement. Sometimes all we see is difference and division and boundaries. Assume that most humans are past the point of collaboration, but that's not the case. We can counter this when we take time to find common spaces for. And in terms of you guys as students, it's discussion, coursework that are grounded in a common. These spaces, people may find more commonality in terms of and fears than they could have imagined or even hoped for. So instead of becoming overwhelming obstacles, use these as bridges, seeing things more collectively and corroborate. Oh Lord, corroborate. As you construct a discussion comment, instead of doing a mic drop and taking up your crown and scepter and running away to your castle, around, go back, read others' comments, see diversity. Look instead for bridges and links, humbly and re-engage. If anything, this will keep the angry commoners from running at you with their forks. Fourth, discussion boards are all about learning, collaborate, and collectively talk in an asynchronous setting. So by listening to the comments of others is really key. Make more open to your ideas. You're putting what you think out place while listening to, thinking about, and incorporating the thoughts of others. In turn, see professionalism in your comments. This is going to encourage them to respond in the same manner. Commoners with the swords and the pitchforks may turn around, retreat, and hammer their swords instead of coming for your throat or somebody else's. This can be done. We can how to respond correctly. And then finally, finding common ground, ongoing conversation. Have you ever known people who you really didn't like? Maybe they came across as irritating know-it-alls or consistently take or just won't listen to anyone else but themselves. Regardless, conversations were a struggle, and future conversations with this person's just a question. The opposite can happen when we see common ground. While we may not always agree on everything, we can learn to use our critical to build on better communicating through what we say in our writing. Now let's look at examples of common ground, okay, and ways that we can build common ground through in pursuing a common good. In these statements, you'll see that admitting often opens doors to finding a common good. The first statement, we all care about community safety, that's added in is even though we believe different approaches effective in achieving that safety. Here, community safe, common goal, okay? But the person is admitting that how approaches safety is up for discussion. So the door open for consensus. In the second comment, in captions, even if we disagree over the science of climate change, we both believe in stewardship and want to preserve the future generations. So here you've got, while people are disagreeing over the science of climate change, this person is saying, hey, we can find a when we focus on mutual concerns for the stewardship and preservation of future generations. Now, definitions of stewardship and preserve means that's up for discussion. But bottom line, doors are open for consensus. In the third comment, although our opinions regarding the role of government in healthcare differ, we both want people to get the care they need without. Here, the space of common ground is getting people needed healthcare process. One writer admits that there's going to be an opinion on the role of government in healthcare, but a common ground to be found in the mutuality of a need for healthcare. So the doors are open for both discussion. Here are more examples of finding a common good, this time rooted in human and a shared concern for getting to the truth. So in terms of curiosity, let's look at this statement. It's clear we of this theory better, and then, okay, text in which applying it might be most useful. Bluntly and openly puts gaining an understanding of rhetorical implications, shared curiosity with others before addressing that context and application needs discussion. We're basing our comment on a foundation of shared curiosity and leaving the door open for consensus. People can also speak and write from a shared position of concern. Here we got a shared concern for the truth. Even though we interpret differently, we both care for the truth it reveals. So here, in this example of got interpretive differences being put at the forefront. Desire for truthfulness and ethical decision making will be the driver. Truth becomes the shared concern for future discussion and consensus. Before we move on to learning objective 2 and using common ground as a rhetorical, let's review why striving for common ground in discussion board rhetoric is so critical and so powerful. So in review, it's going to help your audience feel respected and seen. Again, do unto you. Second, it builds trust to emphasize the sense of community. That all in this earth together, so we're all in this classroom together. Commonality and community in this discussion board. Found as a rhetorical tool softens disagreement and something or agreeing on anything is a elevates what is common and what is necessary while diminishing of disagreement or difference. Putting things that can be worked out on back burners gives space for putting what's important front and center. Next, using common rhetorical tool makes the audience more open to your ideas. Professionalism that you show in your comments, a model for others. And finally, common ground facilitates ongoing conversation. Few people want to discuss anything with the always right, never listening, who values mic drops more than a humble back and forth discussion from critical thinking and mutual respect. Don't become a stand. Improve your critical thinking, communication, and writing skills following these steps that I've gone through in finding common ground. So this synopsis is real and why it's important to pursue common ground. Well, you don't have to fully agree with someone to recognize where your thinking aligns, even a little. This is a powerful way to fight, especially before offering a different perspective, end quote. In an internet savvy world, many folks can't handle differences in opinion. They separate alongside ideological lines, using critical thinking skills, even considering someone else's opinion. You know, whoever yells the loudest, the most offensively, the strongest, that are heard, and everybody else is just supposed to be quiet. Mic drop, boom, they're gone. Discussion boards is different. And it is to do it ethically and to do it logically and to do it humbly in this current climate. But you've got to seek common ground and start from there. So here's some starters, just ways to just think of, okay, if I'm going to make, first of all, maybe try to focus on the we. And when you start a sentence with I, leave the verb ongoing and open. So in terms of the we both care about. So that's focusing on we. There is a commonality here. We're both understand, even if we disagree, we share. We seem to agree that it's important to understand. Okay, despite our different views, we're both seeking the truth about. And then, watch your verbs. Like I'm wondering, so that's ongoing out. Or I've also been thinking about. Another aspect of thinking, I agree with you, an agreement. Here's some ways that we can work through things. I'm going to turn you guys over to Emmy. She's going to walk you through learning objective 3, more cutie pie baby dinosaurs. Take it away, Emmy. You are, in my opinion, the Daenerys Targaryen, the dragon queen of the Game of Thrones, etc. Big mic drop. Go, Emmy.
Thank you. Okay, for learning objective 3, we are going to workshop BITO 342's week 5 discussion question 1. Were there baby dinosaurs on the Ark? We have some baby dinosaurs that Copilot actually refused to put in the Ark despite my repetitive queries trying to get them in it. So they're actually next to the Ark here, which is kind of appropriate given the question of we don't know if there were baby dinosaurs on the Ark. So
well, you got Noah
works.
up in there.
Yeah. His wife's not there, and there's a rooster, but no hen. But, it's colorful and happy, so I like it. So this is a link to the assignment that is our application. BITO 342, the class is called Christianity and Culture. Week 5, discussion 1, Were There Baby Dinosaurs on the Ark? The instructions are based on this scenario. You come across a friend's social media post asking for people's opinions on the origins of the universe with the question, do you believe in science or religion? And this question has 3 parts. So first, in 100 words, prior to reading Ray, how would you have answered and what evidence would you provide? So just based on your understanding, before you read anything in the course, do you think that the universe has origins based on science or religion? The next part 2, after some conversation, it is suggested that you read Janet Kellogg Ray's book, Baby Dinosaurs on the Ark, hence the origin of all our baby dinosaur references in this presentation. So in 100 words, you need to articulate in your own words the basic thrust of Ray's argument. So Janet Kellogg Ray is a Christian Science educator, and they want you to answer the question, what is she arguing about the compatibility of science and faith? Remember, the question on the previous page was, do you believe in science or religion? Hint, she seems to be arguing that there is compatibility between science and faith or religion. So keep that in mind as you launch into the second of the 3 parts of this assignment. The third part is, in 100 words, explain how Ray's work either further solidified your initial response or how Ray's work has led you to change or adjust your initial response. So if you initially said you believe in science, how does Ray's idea about religion make you change your idea? If you initially said you believe in faith and religion, how does her emphasis on science influence you to change your idea? Or did her work not influence you at all? They want you to provide references from Ray's book, which is not unusual. That's usually a requirement for your discussion post. So here's an example of perhaps your classmate has written a reply and you are then replying to them to keep the conversation ongoing. Hi, Freddie. I appreciate how seriously you're engaging with the question of creation. Like you, I care about understanding where the universe came from and why it matters. Even though our explanations might lean on different sources, science in your case and faith in mine, we're both trying to make sense of something much bigger than ourselves. So you can see I've got some words bolded here, and these are the phrases that are showing that the writer of this paragraph is trying to find common ground with Freddie. Like you, I care about understanding. So they're both seeking common knowledge. And again, we're both trying to make sense of. That's another area where they're trying to both understand this together. Next, when you said science gives facts and religion gives meaning, it challenged me to consider that science and religion can sometimes offer different kinds of insight and work together. This reminded me of Ray's 2021 question, is there an option honoring both God and science? Page 129, which suggests that these ways of understanding don't have to be in conflict, but can instead inform one another. So here's another area where they're trying to find common ground. What you said resonated so much with me that it challenged me to think about something differently. So they're showing that this other person's ideas are valued. You can also see in this paragraph, we use the strategy of referring to or specifically quoting your classmate's post, and we've quoted the primary source for the assignment, which would be Ray's book. That said, I do wonder whether there are limits to how well science and faith can be integrated. For me, faith involves accepting certain truths that aren't always subject to empirical evidence, which can sometimes feel at odds with scientific inquiry. How do you personally navigate that dynamic between scientific facts and faith-based meaning? Peace, Laura. So look at what they've done here. In the first paragraph, they are finding common ground. They're saying, you did a good job with this. You made me think about this. We agree on these points. Then they point out a second area where, when you said this, it really made me think about that. So this is another way that they're trying to work together and find common ground. By this point, Freddie is pulled in to this response. And then at the end, hey, wait a minute. I don't actually agree with you entirely. So let me put my point of opposition last. So we've gone through this progression where we've softened Freddie up, we've gotten them to read the post, we have talked about what they've done well, what we have in common, and that makes Freddie more inclined to continue reading. Because if we had put, I don't agree with you right after hi, Freddie, Freddie might not want to keep reading. And then the conversation's going to be stymied. But by using this progression of finding common ground first, and then stating the difference or the possible point of conflict last, Freddie is quite inclined to continue having this discussion with Laura. And since they're on a discussion board, remember, of course, they're all writing together as a community, so maybe the other classmates will also jump in and engage and consider all these different sides. And you'll end up with a really rich conversation. So that's just one example. Remember, you can use these strategies when you are responding to Ray's text in your initial reply to the discussion question, or in your initial post, I should say. And then you can use them again when you are replying to your peers. In that case, it's perhaps more important because Ray's not going to be answering you, but your peers are. So our cute baby dinosaurs are here again next to the ark. Maybe they were in it, maybe they weren't. That's for you guys to hash out in your discussion board. But today, they are so cute. Today we use several explanations and examples to review the purpose and audience of online discussion boards, apply common ground as a rhetorical strategy, and workshop BITO 342's Week 5 discussion question 1, were there baby dinosaurs on the ark? This is just our references list, including the reference for Ray, that primary source that you're going to use for your assignment. Before we wrap up, we're going to go over a little bit about the Online Writing Center. You can check out the Online Writing Center group in my ACU at this first green link. In the second, there's a link to a video that tells you steps to make an appointment and submit your paper for review by a tutor. We work with you at any stage of your writing, from pre-writing brainstorming to final editing and publishing. And to do that, we offer 2 types of appointments on the schedule. The first is an email asynchronous appointment where you upload your paper and we send you feedback by email within 24 hours. That email is titled something like Writing Center Report. If you want to talk with a tutor one-on-one and that fits into your schedule, you can go to our schedule, make that Zoom appointment, and then click on the Zoom link at the time of the appointment, back in the schedule again. And remember, all of our appointments are in Central Time. That's important to remember because we are spread out all over the country. At the third green link at the bottom, you can access many writing-related resources on our Writing Center website, including links to our webinars, links to our APA templates, links to resources to help with various aspects of the writing process, just so many resources. And this last link, we invite you to please fill out this form to give us feedback on this webinar or another webinar that you have attended or viewed in video, because then we will better understand how to create feedback that meets your needs as a writer. The Online Writing Center submission process is pretty straightforward. You go to our schedule and schedule an appointment. You can schedule that appointment up to 2 weeks in advance. So if you know you have a big paper coming up and you want to get that appointment on the schedule, please go ahead and do it. Next, you can upload your file. You don't have to do that when you schedule the appointment. If I schedule an appointment for 2 weeks from today, I can go back in 2 weeks, 1 minute before the appointment starts and upload my file for the appointment. And if you're coming for a Zoom appointment, you may not even have a file to upload, and that's fine too. These are just a few of the resources that ACU and our Writing Center offer to assist with your writing process. First, we always like to give a shout out to the ACU library, where you can go and find all sorts of interesting information. In fact, the book by Ray is available for free in full text through our ACU library. So please use the link in your assignment or this one to find that book so you can read it and absorb all of its interesting ideas. Our APA template is linked directly in the second link. That's wonderful for doing your assignments. And it doesn't necessarily apply to your discussion posts that we're talking about here. But for your big assignments, if they need to be in APA, please download the template and use it in Word, and it will have all of your formatting just so beautiful. Our APA self-paced course is in this third link, and it is just super fun. You click your way through all of this wonderful APA knowledge, and it's very pretty. And our Online Writing Center YouTube playlist is at the fourth link. You can contact us at our Central Writing Center email address, onlinewritingcenter@acu.edu. This may be if you're having trouble scheduling an appointment, or if you just have a quick question. Hey, I wrote these 2 sentences for my discussion post. Is this a good way to show that I'm trying to find common ground? And we can answer that, because you don't need a 60-minute appointment to review 2 sentences. You can schedule an appointment at the second link. Visit our Online Writing Center website at the third link. And again, please fill out the webinar feedback form at the fourth link. I mentioned earlier that this webinar is the 4th in our series of discussion board reply webinars for this term. So on this slide, I've linked you to all 3 previous ones. We did do's and don'ts, definitely don't do this, polite disagreement, and now common ground. So if you watch all of those, you will be a discussion board reply master. And at this point, we have reached the end of our webinar on finding common ground. Our baby dinosaur friends, Tanya and I, very much appreciate your sticking it out with us and learning together.
Yes,
Thank
definitely.
you, Tanya. You always teach me something when I listen to you, so I love getting to
Oh, thank you,
do
Emmy. You're
webinars with you.
fantastic. Keep
Thank
those
you.
dinos coming, girl.
They're so cute. Bye, everybody.
Bye, bye, bye.